Do you find yourself constantly working but making little financial progress? Do you belong to the 76% of the population that lives paycheck to paycheck and will face serious problem if they suddenly lose their job? Do you feel like you are progressing in your career, but at the same time, you get more and more bills coming at you? Well, if you answered with a yes to one or more of these questions, then you might be fighting a losing battle and struggling with what we call the rat race. What is the rat race? Well, the rat race refers to a disheartening financial lifestyle that the majority of the population lives and is difficult to break away from it. Most of the time, the people that live it are oblivious to it and fail to recognize the fact, even if it's explicit pointed at them. A person entrenched into the rat race is the proud owner of a time-consuming job which he or she desperately needs in order to be able to pay mortgages, rent, bills, credit card debts, and all kinds of liabilities. Increasing one's income and getting more money will not solve the problem because those in the rat race have a float money mindset and will immediately increase their expenses in a proportionate way so that there is no tangible finance progress. Unfortunately, being in the rat race is a money perception issue, so it's very difficult for someone to recognize it and break away from it in order to achieve financial freedom. The term was popularized by famous author Robert Kiyosaki in the bestseller book Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Kiyosaki talks in details about it. Here's what it looks like. Study hard at school and get good grades. Go to college and earn a degree. Send out resumes and look for a job opportunities. Land a corporate job and work as an employee. Find yourself with more disposable income. Upgrade your lifestyle and consume more. Fund your lifestyle with debts, mortgages, credit cards, and others. Stay put at your job because you cannot fund your debts without it. Rise and repeat until you retire at an old age. Die fully of regrets that you did not live a more fulfilling life. Well, does this sound familiar? I would bet that for the majority of the working class, it does. This is the default path that people follow, and it's considered to be the safe approach. People will gladly participate in the vicious loop, unaware of its implication and consequences. In fact, the whole system is structured in a way that it's the normal path to follow. If you choose it and walk through it, you are celebrated. If you deviated from it, you are challenged and questioned for your choices. Does it sound sad? I certainly hope it does. Unfortunately, this is the sad reality for millions of people around the world, especially in the Western countries, where consumer buying is funded mainly by credit. So how to escape the rat race and never get sucked back in? Well, it's not surprise that you want to escape the rat race. From disappointing paycheck to toxic work environments, nobody really wants to sacrifice their life climbing a ladder they can simply try to own. Besides, you are not just some rat, you are a smart person who can do anything you set your mind to. You don't belong in some corporate race for over 30 years of your life, making some measly salary. You deserve not to have to worry about paying bills, to have the time to enjoy life and not to dread Mondays. Well, let's think. Living paycheck to paycheck. About 99% of the world population is either poor or middle class. And so that means a sweeping part of the world wants to escape the rat race. They are stuck in it. Imagine getting paid every 2 weeks, yet you never have enough money to cover all your expenses. Your mortgage, your rent takes up over a third of your salary, plus groceries, plus utilities, plus property taxes, and then throwing some life in the way: wedding, birthday parties, funerals, and job losses. Plus, you are got to pay a taxman, and so most of your salary doesn't even end up in your pocket because it gets deducted right away. Yes, this list is bumming you out, and probably bums you out too. No wonder everybody wishes they could escape the rat race. Few get paid enough to meet the basic needs. Imagine. But hey, let's have a close look at how the rat race looks like and how magnificently has been engineered in modern society over the years. For this purpose, let's consider John, a new member of society. We will follow John during his life, explaining what is really going on in the background, even though he cannot notice. Study hard at school and get good grades. It always starts during John's most tender and malleable age. While he's at school, he's indoctrinated in a very specific way of thinking. He learns that he must wake up early in order to go to school, that he would stay there for a specified amount of hours performing predefined tasks, that he should be obedient to his masters, teachers, and that if he does well, he would get his rewards in good grades. Does this sound like a precursor to employee's life, or is it just my idea? Well, Jones learns to obey authorities unquestionably and to depend on it in order to get a reward. John also learns that cooperation, a potent catalyst to achieve success in life, is prohibited and that he is on his own, competing with his peers. The schooling system has been heavily criticized over the past decade, but sadly, little has been done towards its improvement. Keep in mind that it was divided after the Prussian system with one major objective: to create obedient and efficient workers. The current society and economic status of the majority of the population proves that it was successful towards the goal, but not much else. So, go to the college and earn a degree. The next logical step for John is to attend a college or a university in order to continue his education and earn a degree that proves that he is skilled enough to practice in certain profession. This is what thousands of young people do each and every year, hoping for a better financial future. And here comes the question: is it really worth it? Undoubtedly, employees with a degree earning more on an average basis from those that don't have any, but is that causation or just correlation? Many have argued that college does not contribute much to an individual's success, and that the particular college graduates that made college were actually so bright that they would have been successful in life, even without a formal education. When evaluating whether or not you should go to college, your thought process should be like this: I am making a huge capital and time investment into studying for a degree. Shall this degree yield an adequate return on my investment? In most cases, you will find that the massive investment that is required is not worth it. If you are adamant on getting a degree, then please do it in a technical field that provides a solid chance to actually have some significant return on your investment. The fields boil down to pretty much the following: engineering, computer science, IT, finance, economics, medicine, nursing, pharmacy, mathematics, physics, and statistics. Yep, that would be all. And if I had to push it, I would say that only the holy trinity of engineering, computer, and science and finance is worth your time. Sorry, but your literary arts degree won't cut it real world. Why? Because society as a whole has deemed that there is not much value in that. That's the cold, hard truth. Would you like to make $1,000 in a month? Well, then find out what society considers to be valuable and worth $10,000. And then you do that. Society provides many hints on how its values skills, so you should really pay attention to that. So after, John go and send out resume looking for a job opportunity. After finish college, the default path dictates that John should get a job. So there he goes, sending out resumes and look for a job opening. The problem? Having a job is certainly the last efficient way to make money. Surely, there are times that having a job totally makes sense. When you are young and start your own, you will need cash flow to cover your expenses. Getting a job is the most immediate way to get some cash. The thing is that most people adopt this as a lifestyle strategy for income generation without realizing the risk involved. John's resume and credentials land him an entry-level job at Fortune 5,000 companies where the CEO makes 350x the average employee there. But hey, you got to start from somewhere, right? Land a corporate job, work as an employee. John starts working for the company. At first, things are good, fine, but after a while, he noticed that his freedom is severely limited by outside factors. He has no savings, he has no saying over his job, his payments, his work hours, his work environment, and so on. Sorry to crack the news to John, but employees get into a contract where they relinquish a big part of their freedom in return for a pet income in a company. They get screwed when things go bad in the business and sometimes even when things go well. They have limited upside. The income is capped unless it's performance-based, while the downside is bigger than they imagine, losing the safe income. In short, having a job sucks, but well, this is so ingrained in our society that John goes without any challenge. Even though John understands the part of his freedom will be limited from now on, he accepted the new status quo because he gets something novel for him, a steady paycheck. When you are young and without many financial obligations, except perhaps a student's loan, then a steadily monthly paycheck seems invaluable. It provides disposable income and there is a vast array of options to allocate that. So what do the majority of the people do when the income is increased? They increase their expenses so that they match the newly increased income. Instead of saving the monthly surplus income expenses and investing some of that money, they increase their expenses to a level as high as the new income. These people are then left wondering, where did all my money go? John upgrades his lifestyle. He rents a new apartment and purchases a new latest gadget. He also buys a new fancy car. Our modern society is structured around consumerism. Consuming is the main driver of growth in modern economies. So governments support it. They collect more taxes revenue. Corporations also love it because they are the organizations that directly benefit from it. They collect more revenue. They are the producers, influenced by advertising and peer pressure. Jones joins the crowd clubs of consumer. Fund your lifestyle with debts, mortgages, credit cards, and others. Even though he has a decent income, John cannot afford to buy his car directly, so he finances it with credit. Credit sounds a bit risky, but everybody's doing it, so it should be fine. After all, he now has a steady paycheck he can count on. Today, the world runs on credit. Actually, the amount of credit is much larger than the amount of money in circulation. We say that we buy things on credit, but as soon as the transaction materialized, another world enters the equation, and it's more appropriate: debts. Want to surefire a way to spend the rest of your life on the rat race? Piles up on debt. That is not evil on its own. It's just a tool. The problem is that people have never been taught how to use a schooling system, anyone. They misuse it and find themselves in a trapping situation. Stay put at your job because you cannot fund your debts without it. John looks at his income statement and sees between his take-home money and the total amount of his expenses, includes interest payments, not much is left. He realized that he cannot afford to lose his job. Even if his working conditions get bad or he hates his new boss, he has no shouts this month. And swim alone, he has no other option. Losing his job would be devastating. Sometimes through things do not go as expected. In the recent finance crisis, more than 2.6 million Americans lost their jobs. Yet, people fail to learn from that harsh lesson, and the job security myth still prevails. Rising and repeat until you retire at old age. Well, John grows older, and he's soon getting married. He does not think strategically about this, nor does his plan. He just follows his heart. His wife, Ellen, also works for a corporation, so there are now 2 monthly paychecks coming. The total household income increase. So what does our lovely couple do? They again increase their expenses. They buy a second car, they get a bigger house, and they decorate it with expensive items. It just never ends. After a while, kids enter the picture, and it's pretty much settled for John. He will have to work for the rest of his life in order to cover the family expenses, pay for the kids' college tuition, and so on. His kids will follow the same path, continuing the cycle. John is trapped in a frustrating lifestyle, unable to build in wealth. The only thing he can do is run as fast as he can on the rat wheel, only to stay at the same place. Die full of regrets that you did not live a more fulfilling life. John needs news and occasionally spots some overnight success stories of a young people who have made millions by building online companies. He wishes he could do the same, but sadly, it's not possible. He does not have the time. He works until late for a corporation and he returns home pretty exhausted. He definitely cannot leave his job. He needs the monthly income in order to cover the massive amount of expenses. Years go by like this until John finds himself in his deathbed, wondering where all the good years went. He leaves the world full of regrets, contemplating a life he never got to live. Once, Benjamin Franklin said, most men die at 25. They just don't burn them until they are 70. Now you might ask me how to escape this vicious cycle. Well, I hope by now it's painfully obviously that the rat race is not a situation you want to be in. As much as society implicitly promotes it, it's something you should stay away from. And that begs the question, how to avoid getting trapped into the rat race? Or an even more difficult one, how to escape the rat race when you are already in it. There are definitely thought questions to tackle, but there are things to do. The first step is the awareness to actually understand what the dangers is. Most people do not even notice they are trapped in this. They are too close to the problem to notice. Actually, they are the problems. Awareness can be achieved by acquiring knowledge, reading articles, studying books, and be informed. The next step is to cut down on your expenses and build some financial discipline. As I mentioned in this beginning, this is not a problem that can be solved just by getting more money. People that lack financial discipline will have their expenses rise the moment that the income will increase. It's imperative to run a tight budget until you truly can afford the things you wish to enjoy. Next comes acquiring some high income. You do that by building a scalable business that will provide you with exploding cash flow. If not, try and get a career in a field that will provide high income, like the ones we mentioned above: engineer, finance, computer science. The surplus between income and expenses should be diligently saved. The popular personal finance advice on saving is that you should save 10% of your income. That is laughable. Let me repeat that. By saving 10% of your income, you are going nowhere, especially if your income is low. As weird as it might sound, you should strive to save at least 80% after tax income. But how can you save 80% of your income? This sounds impossible. Do you have $20,000 per month? It would be quite easy in that case. If you make $2,000 per month, then saving $1,600 of it's really not possible. But what if you made $20,000? In that case, saving 16,000 and living on the rest of 4,000 would be totally feasible. And that is exactly the point. It's not so much about saving, it's about earning more. That is one of the reasons why you should make more money. This should be your mantra. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not mean more money at any cost, but rather more money by providing more value. The bottom line is that you should focus on increasing your income. Try to keep your expenses flat. Your expenses should not increase until you can confidently hit the 80% saving mark. Of course, the majority of the population is unable to even save a few dollars per month. That is where the 10% rules comes from. Saving 10% is surely better than zero, but again, it will not take you very far. On the topic of expenses, you should be very vigilant and focused when it comes to the decisions that will have the most impact on your budget. You want some quick and dirty math to guide your big decisions? Well, here you go. Don't buy gadgets or a device that is worth more than what you make in 1 or max 2 days. Don't buy a car that is worth more than what you make in 1 or max 2 months. Don't purchase a house that's worth more than what you make in 1 or max 1.5 years. This is purely empirical, but follow these through guidelines and you will be on the safe side. So, do you make 5K in a month? Awesome. You are entitled to a car that costs a maximum of 10K. Guess what most people do instead? Yes, they borrow money to buy a car and then pay interest for it for years. To demonstrate how irrational people are when it comes to money, consider this. In my country, people buy iPhones even when the cost of the device is higher than the monthly salary. Essentially, they spend more than 1 month of their lives working in order to buy a glamorous device that cannot really afford. They then go out and give missed calls to signal to the other people to call them back. This phenomenon is so often here that there is a joke about it. This whole thing is insane. Having talked about earning more, cutting down expenses, and save a huge portion of your income, we are now ready for the last piece of puzzle: investing. Before you start investing, you should have accumulated an amount of money as an emergent fund, saving buffer. This could be anything from 3 to 12 months of your expenses, depending on your profits and life situation. After that amount is reached, any money that comes from the surplus of income minus expenses should be plunged to investments instead of letting it sit on a bank account. In essence, your high savings will fund your investments. The high levels of investing strategy to employ has two phases. First, accumulation. This is the phase where you are actively working in order to generate income. Ideally, you work in a high-income job or on building scalable companies that will offer you explosive cash flow. During this period, you use your savings to acquire high-quality assets. In general, avoid complicating things. Just invest in the things that you study, in the things that you understand, as in the long run, you will get some nice returns with this approach. After you have accumulated a significant amount of assets, you are ready to switch to the next phase: income. This is the phase where you are leveraging the net worth you have built in the accumulation phase. You now focus on getting the acquired passive income that will cover your life expenses. In this phase, you gradually shift from the growth assets to income-oriented ones. Income-oriented assets could be divided stock, crypto, bonds, or any other financial asset which provides a recurring distribution, monthly, quarterly, or annually. By following this strategy, you will be able to break away from the rat race and enjoy financial freedom. This will mainly depend on how high your income will be during the accumulation phase and how much of it will be able to save. Again, target for at least 80%. The rat race is an insidious financial lifestyle that traps you in a vicious cycle of working in a job, paying bills, and repeating until you are old. The rat race is dangerous because it can hurt you without realizing it and can be extremely difficult to break away from it. Unfortunately, our society is structured in a way that facilitated, promoted this kind of lifestyle, and as a result, the majority of the population is already trapped in. Unless you are aware of the existence and implications and you have built the proper money mindset, you cannot escape it. In order to break free from it, you need a solid strategy that consists of achieving higher incomes, saving a huge portion of that by minimizing expenses, and investing the surplus in order to grow your net worth. Sadly, if you don't embrace this approach, you will be forced to work into a very old age in order to survive. You should not expect that the government will take care of you. Social security is broke and the long-term trend do not look good. Ideally, you should start early in your 20s. Hit $1 million in net worth before you are 30. The only way to escape the rat race is being financially disciplined. Remember, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people they don't like. If you watched the video until now, thank you very much. Don't go yet. Before that, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Like this, you help me to grow my community and inspire me to create more content like this around crypto and money. So I'll see you in the next video or in the next live.